Hi Libra, welcome to your September 2022 Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Libra, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your actions and interactions with the world at large over the course of September, can you believe it, of 2022. So before we get into that, I just want to say happy damn birthday to you. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. Remember to feel the day of your birthday or your returnal point. Returnal, is that a word? It is now. your solar return with a little bit of everything that you want the next year ahead to have in it for you. All right, so you're imprinting the energy ahead of the next 12 months ahead on that specific day. For your actions and options, actions and interactions with the world at large, you've got the 9 of Pentacles. So I love this because it means that this month you're balancing the hard work with the rewards that you get from it. So this is a month where you're likely to start seeing some rewards or some kind of blessings from the hard efforts that you've put in. But it also suggests that you are working very hard towards another goal. So it's like, yes, I'm reaping the rewards from this, but I'm keeping focused on this thing moving ahead. So you're really very focused right now on what it is that you're trying to bring into your life. The other thing with that 9 of Pentacles, this is you really paying a lot of attention to the details of things. Sorry about that, as I was saying, so you're really very focused on the details this month. This is where you are putting pen to paper, but you're also really paying attention to the things that need to be done precisely. Now remember, at the end of this month, Mercury is going to go retrograde in your sign and come back into the sign of Virgo, which technically is your 12th house. Certainly for those of you that are ascendant Librans anyway, to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the sun and the moon. So you will be revisiting things this month. But because when Mercury comes into the sign of Virgo, it's exalted. This is going to give you a chance to go back over certain details. And with this 9 of Pentacles, this could be on a very practical level, could be on a very tangible level, could be to do with your finances or your resources in some way. For a lot of you, I feel like this is you crafting an old idea or cultivating an old opportunity, but you're paying more attention to the details now, which allows you to actually get it off the ground and advance it in some way. For your communications and conversations, you've got the 7 of Wands. So I will say this, because you've got it with the 9 of Pentacles, this might be something that you're actually needing to fight for. The reason I say this is because it's the 7 of Wands, so you are having to show up in a certain way. It is that there's some kind of a battle on your hands that you're having to face up to or to own up to at this moment in time. And because you've got this with the 9 of Pentacles, it's like you're having to really work hard on clarifying the details in some way, shape or form. Like, it might be that you have to, you know, what's one way that this could show up? It might be that, let's say you are trying to bring an old opportunity back into the fore, and previously that opportunity was tied to different people, a different place, maybe even a different company. This might be that you're having to prove to, you know, this other person, these other people, this entity or whatever, that you are about it this time, that you're going to get it over the finish line, that you're going to bring it home. Because it is the 7 of Wands, you won't have too much of a hard time convincing people of this, but you are going to have to. Sorry about that. So for your heart and half, you've got the Hierophant card. Okay, so for some of you, this is, so for those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term commitments, there's something here that suggests you and your partner are having some sort of a disagreement, and I kind of feel like this might be because you're maybe not as present as they would like you to be, or maybe you're not as focused on something as they think that you need to be at this moment in time. Because you've got this with the 7 of Wands, this might be you and a partner. Maybe there's an issue with some sort of legality, paperwork, Very possible as well that some of you could literally be having what feels like either a little bit of a disagreement or a fallout with another couple. So this might be friends of yours, it might be you know, another couple that you are family with, maybe in-laws in some way. I don't think it's going to be serious, but I do think it's going to be something that comes up like a point of contention. And because you've got the Seven of Wands here, it's like you can be very persuasive because you are technically in the right. That doesn't give you license to, you know, be mean, but something to think about. For those of you that are single, whenever somebody shows up as the Hierophant card, it's usually somebody that's more traditional, somebody that's from like a very sort of traditional 2.4 or religious background in some way, shape or form. This person could absolutely ignite your passions, and it really is going to be a case of opposites attract. I feel like you're probably the one that is a bit more down to earth, a bit more creative, a bit more arty, and this person happens to be a bit more what's the word that I'm looking for? Excuse me. This person happens to be like a little bit more, well, yeah, not even a little bit more, like a lot more traditional. This is actually a card that represents marriage and partnerships. So it's a potential that whoever you're, you know, if you are meeting someone this month that is very traditional, they could be what you need to bring you that Libran balance that you're always looking to find. So, you know, let's say you're the more creative kind of boho one, they give you the opposite of that in order to balance you out. So they'll bring you the energy that you need. It just might be an energy of, you know, sparks fly. And then finally, for your money and materials, you've got the Four of Swords. So where you are interacting with financial institutions, where you're having to file things, especially when it comes to if you're borrowing money or anything like that, this is not the month to do it. The Four of Swords also is cautioning you against any big spendages. If you're having to spend money on a creative idea or endeavor, you might, I mean, especially as well, if you're looking for some kind of funding, it suggests that you are going to have to fight for it. The chances are that you will get it, but you might have to jump through a hoop or three. For when it comes to your finances though, that Four of Swords is basically saying no big purchases this month unless they absolutely need. You know, if your washing machine or your cooker suddenly packs up, you have to replace it, right? But outside of that, I wouldn't go for any big purchases. I would also say as well, when it comes to this is a month to save rather than to spend. For the first week of the month, you've got the Fool card with the Nine of Pentacles. So this is a new endeavor, or it's a shiny new version of something that you've already done previously. So it's kind of like something is getting a second shot or a second round at the thing. With the Nine of Pentacles as well, I love this for you interacting with or discovering new creative endeavors that absolutely set your soul alight. For the second week of the month, you have the Judgment card with the Seven of Wands. So for some of you, this battle of wills, this challenge, this thing, it's likely to, not only is this a big change point, right? The Judgment card itself is a card of big change. You've got it right next to the Fool card, which is some kind of big fated change that you're not necessarily in control of, or that you haven't sort of or maybe that you hadn't sort of imagined that you would need to do something with now. But what really comes through from this, because you've got it with the Seven of Wands, this is you having a recurring argument or something that's come up before, but it's like you're approaching it in a very different way that allows you actually and the other party to make a change. It's like you can't get around this now. You're going to have to go through it. For your third week of the month, as we come into birthday season for you guys, you have the Hermit card with the Hierophant. So for those of you that are single and meeting someone, it is likely to be somebody more traditional. The chances are this person will be older than you. It's also very likely that this person's background or their culture is quite religious and or spiritual in some way. I'm intrigued by this, very much so. For those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term commitments, I will say it does look like there's something that you and your partner are unable to agree on. It's not a massive problem, but it is something that you are maybe going to start to discover or rediscover, or start to at least use your personal persuasive abilities. And then for the 4th week of the month, you've got the Emperor. So on a health level, this could be a month where your sleeping pattern is really interrupted in some way, because you've got the Emperor, that's number 4, you've got the 4 of Swords. 2 4s represents insomnia, so sleeping could be a challenge. It looks like a lot of you are potentially interacting with a financial institution, a bank. Maybe you're interacting with an accountant or something. And it might be for some of you that's because there's a discrepancy somewhere with resources. So it's going to be an interesting month when it comes to finance, but there's a lot of creative stuff going on. And there's a lot of you really homing in on the details of something. So as we get into your lunations, the new moon on the 25th of September is taking place in your sign. This is your new moon. You get 1 new moon, 1 full moon per sign per year, and this is your new moon. Set your intentions. Focus on the next 12 months. Let's say the next 6 months ahead at least. What do you want out of that time? How do you want to proceed? And more importantly, what do you want to welcome into your life when it comes to you, your mind, your body, your outlook, your personal understanding, the way that you present to the world? What are you ready to welcome into your life now? Your new moon message is the gate 13 and to listen. The message behind this card isn't just about, listening to yourself on the deeper inner levels. It's also about you really starting to understand what your soul calling and mission are. And if you were ever going to be getting any messages around that stuff, it's going to be in the first 2 weeks of this month. You're very likely to get this. Now, yes, this is for the 25th of September, which is at the end of the month. But if you're getting hints, tips and tricks from the universe about what the 25th new moon is trying to bring into your life, you'll be getting that early on. So this is happening in your first house. You remember when I talk about astrology, whole sign, tropical, always from the ascendant first to a lesser degree, but still very relevant, your sun and your moon. The Pisces full moon on the 10th of September, this for you is happening in your 6th house. This is all to do with your day-to-day routines, your physical body, how you look after your health is very much going to be a big part of this. That full moon is really going to highlight to you where you have and where you might not have looked after yourself properly. It's also because the 6th house can be enemies as well. And when we say enemies, it's usually like employees or people that are directly in, not so much like the 7th house where they're your competitors. It's more a case of these are people that you clash with. So this could be an employee, it could be with a boss. That full moon on the 10th, I think, is going to highlight to you who is with you and who isn't. And then you've got the gate 23 and assimilate. And I love this card because the message behind it is whatever you envision, that's the castle inside the snow globe, you have to find a way to bring that vision into reality. And all of that stuff for you is happening here in this first 2 weeks of the month. There's something here that you can see, that you can feel, that you can envision, but you're having to really fight for it. And this might be that you're having to say to the boss or the superior or to your employees, this is my vision, follow me with this, because I promise you it's going to have great results. You are having to fight for something, but the fight is worth it. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.